Thank you for watching videos by Family Travel Photos. Today is June 6th, 2021, and we're exploring some of the best spots at Grand Teton National Park. In this episode, we'll provide more than 50 tips for visiting Grand Teton National Park, so if you're planning a trip, stay tuned for great photos and helpful information to make your vacation better. This is part of our series of travel vlogs and tutorials from our trip to Estes Park, Grand Teton National Park, Yellowstone, Cody, Wyoming, Devil's Tower, Mount Rushmore, and Badlands National Park. Click the subscribe icon in the lower right corner so you know when the next video will be released. On June 6th, we started our day by visiting Snake River Overlook. This overlook provides a scenic view of the winding Snake River set against the Teton Mountains. More importantly, this is the place where a famous photograph was taken by America's greatest landscape photographer, Ansel Adams. As the National Park Service says, Ansel Adams stood here in 1942 and took this photograph of the vast unspoiled beauty of the Snake River and jagged Teton Range. The National Park Service hired Adams in 1941 to capture nature as exemplified by national parks. At the time, local ranchers were battling a proposal to include the Jackson Hole Valley in Grand Teton National Park. Adams' photographs helped to promote and protect western U.S. landscapes. For photographers, this is hallowed ground because this is where Ansel Adams took his famous photograph of the Grand Tetons and the Snake River Overlook. So it's pretty cool just to be here. The trees have grown and they've kind of messed with the scene as Ansel Adams saw it, but still it's a great experience to be here where he stood and took such a great photograph. Here's some tips for visiting Snake River Overlook. This is a good spot for a sunrise shot. It's not as popular as other places in the park, so you should be able to come here anytime and find parking. As I said before, the growing trees have diminished this view of the Snake River. To actually recreate Adams' picture, you'd have to fly a drone. Don't fly a drone. It's against Park Service rules to fly in a national park. Even with the trees, it's still a pretty location, and a famous location as well. For photographers, you can use wide angle all the way out to long lens. The overlook is farther away from the mountains than other locations in the park, so you can make use of longer lenses to isolate the mountains if you'd like. You can visit this spot in about 15 minutes, more if you want to set up and try things with different camera gear. We planned to leave Snake River Overlook and go to Jenny Lake to ride the ferry over to Hidden Falls, but it was too early. The first ferry wouldn't leave until 10 a.m. So we decided to take a leisurely drive down the outer road and visit Teton Point Turnout and Glacier View Turnout. Here's some tips for visiting the outer road turnouts. These overlooks provide the quintessential perspective of the Tetons. They are all about the mountains. You can't see the lakes and the Snake River is barely visible. But these turnouts are great places to take in the amazing Teton Mountains. Even gnomes like to shoot pictures from the turnouts. If I had to pick one place for a family picture at Grand Teton National Park, I think I would choose one of these overlooks because they offer such wide open views of the mountains. The turnouts are quick stops. You could spend 10 minutes at a turnout to enjoy the amazing views. The turnouts are perfectly positioned between destinations in the south and the north of the park. The turnouts receive almost no coverage from other YouTubers, so they're easy to overlook. Don't overlook the overlooks. For photographers, any lens will work from these turnouts. Because these turnouts are so wide open, you can shoot great panoramas here. For video, pan with the camera, preferably on a tripod or a gimbal. Or shoot at a wide focal length, again from a tripod or gimbal, without moving. Then in post-production you can zoom in and pan across the scene. I will post a separate video on how to shoot panorama still images with a cell phone and a DJI OM4 gimbal, and with other cameras as well. When it's published, you'll find a link to it in the upper right corner now. After visiting the outer road turnouts, it was time to drive to Jenny Lake Visitor Center so we could walk to the ferry boat. We took our time getting to the ferry, taking in the scenery once again. If you want more details about walking along Jenny Lake, watch our vlog from June 5th, linked in the upper right corner now. We got to the dock as the line was starting to form. At 10, we entered the dock and paid our fares. We arrived early enough that we were the first people to board the second ferry of the day, allowing us to choose the best seats on the boat for our ride. Here's a tip. When you're getting on the ferry heading over there, across, sitting on the left side is probably a better view of the mountains as you're going in. And then sitting on the right side is a better view when you're coming back. And the guy who was standing there when we got on the boat, the employee, kind of confirmed that for us. And then you notice it's filling in on the right side now, but everyone who first got on this boat, they all sat on the left. So this seems to be something that a lot of people have figured out. If you're enjoying this video and find the tips to be helpful, I hope you'll click the thumbs up icon and send a like our way. The ferry ride lasted about 13 minutes and provided spectacular views of the mountains and the brilliant blue lake. The half-mile hike up to Hidden Falls is somewhat steep, but there are a lot of trees to keep you out of the sun along the way. You know you're getting close to the falls well before you can see them. The sound of the roaring water carries a long way. Monique discovered a cool view of the falls. Once you cross the bridge over the falls, as the trail veers left, turn right and climb up the rocks. We spent a half hour at the falls, then made our way back to the ferry dock and rode the ferry back to the visitor center. Here's some tips for Hidden Falls. Here's the ticket prices in 2021 for the ferry. To find out the ferry's operating hours throughout the year, go to their website. The link is in the description below. You need to wear a mask on the ferry. If you don't want to wear a mask, you can always walk the 2 miles around the lake to reach the ferry dock on the other side. The hidden falls are probably not wheelchair accessible, especially with the stairs leading up to the falls. Use the restrooms at the visitor center before you go to the ferry dock. There are no bathrooms at the dock or on the opposite side of the lake. The hike up to Hidden Falls is about a half mile and it's fairly steep, especially when you're hauling camera gear. But you can stop and catch your breath whenever you'd like. The ferries run every 15 minutes or so and they're extremely efficient. The only holdup will be if a lot of people are waiting to get on the ferry. So, as is often the case at national parks, get there early and beat the crowds. Leave a couple hours for the trip to Hidden Falls, including the walk to and from the parking lot and the ferry rides. You'll need more time if you get a late start on this destination because of the crowds. It will also take longer if you're continuing on up to Inspiration Point. For photographers, I don't see a lot of use for bringing a long lens in this setting. There are lots of trees to obstruct long views, and you're literally on the top of the falls. Ultra-wide angle to 50mm should suit your needs. Take only what you need. You'll have to haul it all with you. This is a fantastic opportunity for long exposures. For long exposures, you'll need a neutral density filter, a tripod, and a remote shutter release, or a timed shutter release. If the bridge is crowded, just wait a few minutes. The crowds tend to come in waves after each ferry unloads, then clear out for a few minutes. By the time we reached the car, we were ready for lunch. We decided to try out Dornan's trading post. This is the parking area for Dornans. It's about 12:15 noon. And this is one popular place. Cars parked all the way back there. Dornans is a privately operated trading post inside Grand Teton National Park. You can schedule tours and rent bikes and boats and cabins at Dornans. Dornans is the place to go if you want to buy souvenirs, buy wine, or fill up your gas tank. Dornans also has a few places to eat. The best known place is Dornan's Chuck Wagon Grill, which serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We decided to get lunch at the Dornans Cafe, which is a grocery store and deli. And I got a ham and cheese on sourdough.
I got a something pig. Number 12.
Pig wrestler?
Pig wrestler, that's it.
Pig
But
wrestler.
I went without bread because I don't want more bread. But it's got sprouts and pickles and tomato and Swiss and lettuce. And on the bottom of all this is a whole bunch of ham and spicy brown mustard.
So it's really healthy and probably doesn't taste good.
Oh, no. And you don't have to get what they had on the menu. You could do a build it yourself, and the kid in front of us even got a PB&J.
So the ham sandwich was really good. Matter of fact, I'm saving half of it. It was a pretty substantial sandwich. I got it with double meat though, so that explains that probably. But it was really good. How was your whatever it was, the pig wrestler?
Pig wrestler is very good. They don't have lettuce wraps, but they will give it to you on a tray. It's kind of hard to eat. I recommend that if you do order without bread, that you suggest they put the cheese on the bottom and then the other things, because the cheese can act as your bread. You can just use it as a wrap.
Here's some tips for visiting Dornans. This place was very busy at lunchtime. The parking lot was pretty much full the entire time we were there. The Chuck Wagon Grill had a long line when we arrived, but we didn't have to wait long at all for the made-to-order deli sandwiches from the cafe. This is a great place to visit when you're ready for a break in the tourist stuff. You can do all your souvenir shopping, buy groceries and gas, eat a meal, and schedule any excursions or sports equipment that you want. All that, and it still has an amazing view of the Tetons. They do have bathrooms at Dornans, but they can be tricky to find. Ask an employee to steer you the right way. Camera tips? Nah, leave the camera in the car, have some good food, and buy some huckleberry licorice at the grocery store.
You'll hear Jeff mention the DJI OM4 gimbal many times in our videos, and you'll see many video clips, photos, and panoramas that I shot while using it. I can't tell you how many times people came up to me and asked where I got that wonderful device. If you use your smartphone to take photos and videos, the OM4 is an amazing gimbal that will improve everything you shoot. Incidentally, after our trip, DJI released an updated version called the OM5, which includes a built-in 12-inch retractable selfie stick that would have been very handy on our trip to take those pictures of Jeff and I together. The OM4 and OM5 are both currently available. In the description below, we've listed purchase links for several great products that we used on our trip that we recommend to you, including the DJI OM4 and OM5 gimbals. Follow those affiliate links to purchase direct from Amazon and support our channel.
It was mid-afternoon and we decided to drive up to Signal Mountain Summit. Okay. Steep, narrow roads, speed limit 20 miles per hour, no trailers. We are going up to Signal Mountain Summit. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this spot in the YouTube videos, so I'm kind of curious as to what this is like and if this is worth covering. We reached the parking lot for the first of two viewpoints, called Jackson Point Overlook. The trail to the overlook is fairly short, but it's very steep and uneven. Add in the fact that we were at 7,700 feet in altitude, and we're used to about 500 feet altitude in Dallas, and you can see why we were winded by the time we reached the top of the trail. You got to the top, and then there's a trail leading down a little bit. Very rocky and uneven trail. It was worth it. We discovered this overlook provides an amazing view of the valley.
Wow.
Why aren't more YouTubers talking about this place? We made our way back to the car and headed up the narrow road to the summit. This stretch of the road is a little more scary. There's no room for error on this side of the road, and it's a long drop. We're at the top of Signal Mountain right now. Looks like another climb, not as long, but maybe more steep, so we'll see, to get to the actual summit. And one good thing, if you need it, look over there, they do have a restroom. Looks like it's a one-holer. After viewing the summit, it was time to take a very slow drive down the mountain. So you look on the screen there and you can see the hairpin turn here up at the top. What it doesn't show you is how close to the edge it is, so we'll record and let you see that.
This is stunning out my window.
Really don't get any advance from someone coming around that corner.
And this is the hairpin.
This is the hairpin. Actually, it's not too bad along the sides of the road here at that point. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see the edge because of the shadows. So we're making our way down from the top of Signal Mountain, and it's very narrow and really kind of treacherous, but paying attention to the road. But there's this paved turnout here, and I'm going to show you. You can see there's just a little bit of widening in the road so you can pull off, and here's why they have that. This could be the prettiest scene of the whole area. We're coming to the end of the Signal Mountain Summit Road. It took about 15 minutes to make the trip down. We did stop, but I've subtracted that time. Overall, I think it's definitely worth a drive up there. It gives you a perspective on Grand Teton National Park that I have yet to see anywhere else. You can get pictures of, you know, trees in a mountain or water in a mountain from a lot of places in this park, but the view we saw from the summit up there is unique, I think, to locations on this park. So it's definitely worth a drive up. What do you think of it?
Oh, it was spectacular. Absolutely breathtaking. I haven't seen anything like that before in my life. It was worth it.
Here's some tips for Signal Mountain Summit. Don't miss this drive. It doesn't get a lot of coverage on YouTube, but it gives you a different look at Grand Teton National Park than you'll find anywhere else. The road can be spooky. Just take it slow and slow down more as you pass oncoming traffic. Allow 30 minutes to drive up and down the mountain and an hour or more to enjoy the overlooks. A walking stick wouldn't be a bad idea, particularly for the hike up to Jackson Point Overlook. As I said before, there is a small toilet facility at the summit. You're at the top of the mountain. It's windy. Watch your hats. As you drive down the mountain, go slow and watch for the spot where the road widens and you can pull over. This view is not to be missed. You can shoot with anything up here, from an 8mm ultra wide to a 600mm telephoto. This is another great place to shoot panoramas or take sweeping video pans of the landscape. Monique took beautiful panoramas with her cell phone and the DJI OM4 gimbal, and this setup did all the work for her, including stitching all the pictures together into a finished panorama. From the Signal Mountain Drive, it was a short trip to the Chapel of the Sacred Heart. Built in 1937, the Chapel of the Sacred Heart is a small log cabin-styled church in the north part of the park. Where the Chapel of the Transfiguration is known for its window view of the Tetons, the Chapel of the Sacred Heart is known for its beautiful stained glass window. Here's some tips for visiting the Chapel of the Sacred Heart. This church holds weekend masses from June through September. We happened to visit on a Sunday afternoon. I do not know if the chapel is open during the week. I recommend you contact the church to find out their hours on the day you plan to visit. A link to their website is in the description below. Remember, this is an active Catholic church, so be respectful when you visit. You don't need any more than 15 minutes to visit the church and enjoy their stained glass. Photographically, this is the tough setting because the interior is very dark, while the stained glass is obviously very bright. Your camera is not going to be able to capture this extreme dynamic range. Now, the contrast isn't as extreme as in the Chapel of Transfiguration, but it's substantial. Your best bet is to set up a tripod and shoot several photos, bracketing your exposure as you shoot. You can merge the photos later on. It's important that you don't touch the camera between shots, and you want to use a remote shutter release to avoid shakes. For video or cell phone, your best bet is to treat it as two separate shots. Capture the room from the back to get the interior, then move close to get the stained glass window and expose for the sunlight. Monique did this with her iPhone and got very nice exposures. We had positioned ourselves in the northern part of the park so we could go to Oxbow Bend. Oxbow Bend is a crescent-shaped turnout overlooking the Snake River. From this turnout you can look west to see the northern mountains in the Teton Range, like Mount Moran, or you can look to the southwest for the central and southern portion of the range. Oxbow Bend is a peaceful scene. 2 kayakers provided the only motion while we were there. Otherwise, it was just a calm, relaxing perspective on the park. Here's some tips for Oxbow Bend Turnout. This is a popular place for sunrise and sunset shots, although I think the locations to the south probably provide more dramatic views. While Oxbow Bend was a beautiful location, I don't think it ranked with places like Jenny Lake, Moore Monroe, or Schwabacher Landing. If you need to skip a place for the sake of time, this might be it. Photographically, you can shoot with anything here. You're far enough from the mountains that you can use a long lens to crop and flatten the scene, but wide-angle lenses work too. Monique took a couple nice panoramas with her cell phone and DJI OM4. The parking lot for the turnout is right next to the water, so if you want to pull out the equipment for low-light shots or time-lapse or other equipment-heavy photography, this is a good place to do it. From Oxbow Bend, we decided to go to our cabin at Signal Mountain Lodge. We spent one night at the Signal Mountain Lodge. To keep this video shorter, I put our review of Signal Mountain Lodge in a separate video, which is linked in the upper right corner now. If you're looking for a place to stay at Grand Teton National Park, watch this video. We will show you exactly what to expect from Signal Mountain Lodge. We spent the remainder of June 6th just relaxing at our lakeside cabin. June 6th had been a wonderful day where we experienced a wide variety of places around the park. As with our travels on June 5th, each place we visited on June 6th provided beautiful scenes to view and photograph and wonderful memories to hold for a lifetime and to share with you. In our next video, June 7th, we leave Grand Teton National Park and begin our visit to Yellowstone. We'll say farewell to the Tetons with a stop at Jackson Lake and drive up to Yellowstone. We'll make our first stop at West Thumb, a remarkable geyser basin along the shore of Yellowstone Lake. We'll spend a good portion of the day at the Upper Basin, home of the amazing Morning Glory Pool and the world-famous Old Faithful Geyser. Each of our vlog videos includes several tips to help you with your vacation, so if you haven't subscribed already, now's the time to do it. And hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we publish again. Until then, check out more videos in our Wyoming vacation playlist on screen now. We'd love to see your comments and questions. Post them in the comments below.